Hello and welcome. I'm Kathy Bradley with Kathy Bradley and the Angels, and welcome to the Angelic Academy. This is the second class, and it's connecting you with the angelic realm, with the heavenly realm, through different divinations tools, such as oracle cards, whether they be from the angelic realm, the ascended masters, from nature, from crystals, all the way to a pendulum. So there are all of these ancient tools that have been with us. And so they're time-honored ways to connect with the angels, the spirit guides, and the heavenly realm. The angels are completely safe, as they only attract the loving celestial energy and the messages from God. That's what angel means, remember? Message from God. So all of nature is there for us to give us guidance, to bring about awarenesses, so that we can live a life of joy and peace and harmony. So it works based on the law of attraction. What we're thinking, what we're feeling is the card that we receive based on our attention points. So it works based on where you're putting your attention, and they'll very often direct us by giving us a message to bring us maybe back on course, perhaps help us with a relationship, with money, finances, with career, or with home. Covers all of the gamut. It's all there for us. So it's wonderful. And I've been working with oracle cards because they're mistake proof. When we need our angels' guidance the most, it's there for us. And sometimes it may be difficult to clearly understand the messages because we put blocks up. But the oracle cards are a direct link between you and the heavenly realm. So they can bypass any emotional blocks that we have, which is really wonderful. And for me, it also helps because sometimes I'll get the image or the feeling or the word, and yet it's kind of like, what is it? You know, I'm kind of searching for the actual word that they're sharing. So it's really amazing how it works. And so the first thing that I want to talk about are the different steps involved when you do get a new oracle deck, whether it has to do with the angels, the crystals, the ascended masters, the dolphins. It really doesn't matter. What we want to do is we want to clear the deck. That's the first thing that you want to do. So when you receive the deck, whether it's in the mail or someone gave it to you, what you want to do is, I'll take one right here. You want to take the deck and hold it in your dominant hand, but on your non-dominant hand, what you want to do is just knock it once. What you're doing is you're clearing the energy out. Because when it's been manufactured and it's been out on the road, what you want to do is, it's kind of like imprinting. And I have a funny little story. There was one particular instance where one woman was sharing her deck with her husband. And she said to me, she said, I don't know, she said, they don't seem like they're accurate. She said, the messages that I get are really good for my husband, but not for me. So I said, well, are you using the same deck? And she said, yes. And I said, okay, are you clearing it? No. Okay. I said, well, that's what you want to do. So first of all, I recommended that she got her own deck because it does, it's kind of like it's imprinted with our energy. So to make it clear, I recommend getting your own decks to work with. But if someone else does use your deck, you can clear it by just knocking it once, like I just showed you, with a non-dominant hand. So if you usually write with your right hand, you'd be knocking it with the left hand. Okay? Beautiful. So that's the first thing that we want to do. We want to clear the deck, right? So the next step that we want to do is consecrate the cards. So I'm going to take a deck of cards with me right now. And what we're going to do is we're going to fan the cards out, right? And we're going to hold the fan cards next to our heart. And think about prayers or intentions that connect you so that you can gain wisdom from the cards. And let me share one as an example, an invocation that you could use. I ask that all of my readings with these cards be accurate, be specific, be clear for everyone involved. Angels, please help me to stay centered in my higher self, that I may clearly hear, see, feel, and know. Please give me the confidence to understand, trust, and follow the guidance that comes through with these messages. The other thing that I do is I typically call in Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael to work with me to give me clear, concise messages for a beautiful reading today. And set that intention. So we've consecrated the cards, we've cleared the cards, and now the next thing that we want to do, we want to start playing with the cards. So this could be done in a myriad of ways. You could, typically there are two ways that I see doing it. Either we can ask the cards a specific question. So if we have a question maybe about work, and would it be good for me to take this other job, for example? You could ask the angels that. You could ask them a specific question, right? And then you could say, for your highest good, for this or something better, right? Because the angels have a lot more wisdom, a lot more guidance than maybe what we're seeing. So if we open it up to for this or something higher, it kind of opens that door up instead of a window. So that's the first thing that you could do. You could ask a question, or you could just have it open and say whatever the angels would like to share with me that's for my highest good, and put that intention out there. So it's either one or the other. And so you could start off, for example, you could say, okay, I'm open. Very often people, when I do an angel reading, I'll say, do you have a question, or would you like me to share what the angels have to say for you? And depending on what they're looking for, we'll start from there. And then you can move on. So for example, let's say we begin with a general message. Angels, please give me a message for my highest good. We start there. And then let's say that brings up, oh, I have a question. Now I realize I have a question about my relationship. Or, is it best for me to stay in this location, or should I move? Like, it never ends. We can continue on and on. And what happens is it ends up being a conversation between you and the angels. And you're using the divination cards to give you the clear guidance. So you could work with one deck. And that's the other thing that I want to share with you is when you choose your deck, you could do it online. You could do it in a store. Whatever feels right for you, go with that. That's like your intuition kicking in, letting you know, okay, so maybe there are two decks and you can't decide. Ask the angels, is this deck better for me than this deck? And then just wait to see. So for example, let's say you say, okay, is this deck right here? Is this deck better than this deck? Right? And then you hold them to your heart, and one at a time, and then connecting with your heart space. So let's say you're in your mind, because that's typically where we tend to be. So drop down from your mind. Imagine taking an elevator down, because the mind is the ego. That goes into the fear. What if I do it wrong? What's going to happen? Drop down to the heart. That's the place of love. That's your true essence. And now ask, is this the deck that's going to bring the most guidance, the most direct, the most clear guidance for me to understand? And now just wait a minute. and see what comes through for you. Do you feel light and expansive, open? Then that would be a yes. If you're not really feeling much, that could just be kind of like a neutral. It's kind of like, yeah, it'd be good, but there could be something better out there. Now, if you're feeling into it and you feel closed down or constricted or heavy, that would be a no. Okay? So I'm getting yes, this is a good deck for me. So I'm going to purchase that deck. And I think it's nice to start with one deck and become familiar with the deck. And one thing that you may find, it's really interesting, you may consistently get the same messages. It's really interesting because we tend to have patterns, and maybe we don't change quickly, or we disregard. It's kind of like, oh, I got that message again. I get that message all the time. And it's kind of like you just kind of move on. But that's their way of getting through to us. It's kind of like, you're not listening. We need to be consistent. We need to be persistent and get you to hop on board to gather the message, to follow through with this. It's kind of like, okay, let's say it's, I'll pick one right now. Let's play with it. Energy. Oh, entrepreneur. That's a good one. I get that a lot. There you go. Perfect. Divine order. So yes, I work for myself. That works well for me. It suits me well. I'm driven. I'm consistent. I follow through. I enjoy it. But also I have the connection of the angelic realm and the heavenly realm to work with. So that's really cool. So there you go. That's my message. So yeah, so start paying attention, maybe journal the messages that you get to see the patterns that are there. The other thing that's interesting is as you do that, you'll become aware that there are cards that you haven't even noticed. And I'm going to backtrack a little bit right here. I told you to open up the deck. I told you to clear it, to consecrate it, to fan it out next to your heart. The other thing that you'd like to do is to take each card, an individual touch each card, and bring it to your heart as you open the deck and you receive the messages. It's just each card is getting your energy. So that's another nice thing to do. But going back to that, you'll find that there are certain cards in there that you never see, that you never receive. And yet, if you were to give a message to your friend or your sibling or somebody else, it's kind of like, oh, I never even saw that card was there. So it is very interesting how it all works. So I would become familiar with the deck, feel very comfortable with it, look at the pictures, see if they resonate with you, the words, the wording of it. That's very important. And so it's a really personal thing. A lot of times people ask me, well, what deck do you recommend? And it's what feels right for you. Okay, that's the answer. What feels right for you? And is it an angel deck? Or, for example, I brought this over for you to look at. This is the Mastery of Love. This is, I always have a problem, challenge saying his name. I'll put my glasses on to look at it again. Don Miguel Ruiz. Yeah, so they each have different energies, and yet the other thing that I do when I do a reading for myself or for anybody else, I typically pick 3 cards. And it's amazing because it typically creates a little story for me. So I'll go back to that. Entrepreneur, that was 1. Okay, angels. Guide me with 2 more messages. I'm going to pick one more from the angels. And then I'm going to pick one because that's what I feel like doing. But if you like to stick with one deck, please do. And I'm going to pick another one. So the first one was entrepreneur. The second message is to daydream. And I'll read that to you. You will more easily hear our guidance and the messages as you daydream regularly. Relax and open your mind to receiving without directing your thoughts. Just notice your feelings, visions, or ideas as if you were watching a movie. This is the seat of creativity. Beautiful. And the last message, this is from the Mastery of Love. You are here to play and have fun. So you are the force that plays with your mind and uses your body as its favorite toy to play and have fun with. This is the reason that you are here, to play and have fun. You are born with this right to be happy and enjoy life. You are not here to suffer. Woo-hoo, that is for sure. So often we believe that we have to suffer. Those are those old restrictive belief systems that we've had, those old patterns of you couldn't, you shouldn't, all of those things. So yeah, so when we get these messages and you see them and you play with them, the other thing that's coming through is to trust the messages. And the other reason why I'm saying to trust, because sometimes in that exact moment, it may not resonate with you. So for example, sometimes I may get something and I'm like, that doesn't make sense for me right now. But then within the next hour, all of a sudden something happens. And it's kind of like, oh, okay. It was kind of like, almost like a warning sign, like preparing me for something that was coming down the pike. So trust yourself, trust the wisdom that you're getting, journal it, see how the patterns work through for you. And as you work with the angels or you work with all of your oracle cards, you're going to be gaining wisdom. And the more that you do it, the stronger it becomes. You see, we've all been given the gift of our intuition. That's our gut feeling, right? But these cards are tools that we can use that can guide us into the knowing place. We are not alone. We are part of this beautiful matrix. And I call them my entourage. My entourage is there to help me. So why wouldn't I connect with them? You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results, right? Einstein's theory. Well, why wouldn't we, if we're looking from something from our limited perspective, why wouldn't we connect with the angelic realm? Why wouldn't we connect with nature? Why wouldn't we connect with source to gain beautiful insights? Why not? It's crazy, right? So it's the more that you use it, the stronger it becomes. And the more that it helps you, it brings you back into what's your divine purpose? Why are you here? So you know what? I think what's really interesting, one of my big things is I'm here to have fun and letting go of that whole idea of suffering. We don't have to suffer. That's the old 3D, third dimensional, right, wrong, good, bad, up, down, black, white, all of the polarization. But having fun means you get to be creative, you get to play, you get to dream about what you'd like to create and what does it look like, what does it feel like. So this is a beautiful time of connecting with that intuition, that guidance that we have, that internal guidance system that's in your belly, right? So the next one that I want to talk a little bit about is working with the pendulum. So this is a pendulum, if you have one. If you don't, it doesn't matter. There are so many different divination tools that you can work with. But this is the other one that I wanted to show you and how it works. So this is a rose quartz that we're working with. So the first thing that I always do is ask my pendulum to understand what's right or yes or no. So for example, I'll say, please show me yes. So if you can see this, my yes on this pendulum is going forward and back. Forward and back. You see that? So that means yes. Okay? So now I'm going to hold it again. Bring it to stillness. And now I'm going to say, please show me no. It's amazing how it works. So that's no for me. And we start off with that because we want to make sure that we are in alignment with the pendulum so that we can read the answers correctly. And so my yes or my no may be different than yours. That's why you're asking your pendulum first to show you which is your yes and which is your no. Okay, so for example, okay, so now I'm going to ask just to see how it works, right? So I'm going to say, my name is Harry. No. It's back and forth, right? Okay, I'll bring it to stillness again. And then I'm going to say, my name is Kathleen. Yes, it is. So we do this because we want to first see and know that the information that's coming through is true. Now, the other thing that I want to bring up is sometimes if it isn't a yes or a no, it creates another. So, for example, if it's either not a yes, not a no, it could be confusion or not sure. So not sure for me is circular. You see that? If it's unsure or we have to get more information, it's circular. Beautiful. So now what you can do, now that you know what's yes, no, what is not sure, write that down, and then you can begin to play with it. You can begin to ask it questions and then get powerful information back. And this, it's kind of connecting with your inner wisdom again. It's another tool so that you get clear, concise information, which is really what we're looking for. It's just a different kind of tool that works for you. And again, if you haven't bought one and you want to, what you would do is kind of what we did with the cards, with the deck, connect with, feel, hold them. If you're in a place where you could pick it up and hold it, bring it to your heart. Ask your heart, is this the pendulum for my highest good? And then feel into it, take a moment. When it feels light and bright and happy, that's a yes. If it's feeling neutral, I'd go testing some more. And definitely if it's constrictive or heavy, that would be a no. Okay? The third way that I want to share with you today about connecting with your inner wisdom is, and I don't know if I'll pronounce this right, and I'll send it in writing as well, kinesiology. And what we're doing is, it's kind of like a muscle testing to see if what we're thinking, what we're feeling is accurate. What I mean by that, I'll give you an example. Let's play again with the names. So let's question myself through my own muscle testing to see if something's right for me or if it's not for my highest good. So let's test it right now like we did before with the pendulum with the name. So what we're going to do is you're going to create with your pointer finger, and your thumb, and you're going to create a circle like that, right? And you're going to do it with the other side. And what we're going to do is we're going to interlock them. Kind of pull, give it a nice little tug. Okay? And so now we're going to ask the question of ourselves. Let's just kind of play with this. And is my name Kathleen? And if it's true, I'm not able to pull through. It's truth. That's my name, Kathleen. Now, is my name Sarah Bernhardt? I'm able to pull through. So that's kinesiology. That's muscle testing. That's testing your own inner divine wisdom through the muscles. So again, that's another way that you can do to see, is this right for me? So it could be, is this deck good for me? It could be, is this the right move for me? It's another tool that you can use. You see, I like to give people tools that they can use that are powerful, that are really clear, and they're simple. They're concise and simple. I mean, once you buy these, it's like $10, $15. Or the fingers are your fingers. They're free. You don't have to go anywhere or purchase anything. So yes, first of all, you do have the divine wisdom within you. Once you drop out of the mind, right, edge God out, and you connect with that inner wisdom from the heart, that's where you get your guidance. So if you're in your mind and you hear all the mental chatter, and that's the ego, edge God out, just imagine taking an elevator down into your sacred heart. If you want to place a hand on your heart, connecting with your heart, and then you can ask your question from there. And then just take some moments, follow your breath. I always say, let's take 3 nice, deep, gentle, consecutive breaths. Breathing in and exhaling. Breathing in and exhaling. And breathing in and exhaling. Now stay in this space for a moment. And just notice what you notice. Do you feel clear? Do you feel calm, centered? Beautiful. You're connecting with your I am presence. So staying in this space now, breathe your eyes open. Being centered, calm, happy. You see, when we go into those 3 circular breaths, we're going into our I am presence. And we do that by bringing ourselves to the present moment. We follow the 3 circular breaths. What is your breath? It's your gift of life. So what happens when we become tense or anxious? We either do shallow breathing, or we actually stop breathing altogether, right? If we get real tense, we actually stop, we hold our breath. So if we go back to the breath, that's your gift of life. It's bringing you back into the present moment, which is all we truly have. We go into the illusion of worrying in the past, like, oh, I wish I had done, we shoulda, coulda, woulda done, right? Or we move into the future, like what's going to happen, the fear. But what we're doing is they're both illusions, because all we have is this present moment. And then we have another present moment. So if you keep bringing yourself back into the present moment, which is truly all you have, that's where you have your wisdom. That's where you get your guidance. You get scattered when you move out of your I am presence, out of your breath, and then you go to the head. And then that's when the monkey mind starts kicking in about all the things you should be doing, or you could have done, or you go into guilt or blame or shame, or you go into the future of what hasn't happened, what could happen, and what could go wrong, right? So those are wastes of your time because they're illusions. So one of the most important things that you can learn through the gift of the intuitive guidance is to bring yourself back through the breath. Now I'm also going to include just a little link of working with the breath for you. This is the most important thing that you can do. And people overlook it all the time. They complicate it. And it's so simple and so integral and so important to bringing you into the center, to bringing you into the calm, to bringing you into the peace. So I recommend doing this when you first wake up in the morning, What you're doing is you're setting your intention for the day. You're bringing yourself into the I am presence. I am that I am. The power of the word, right? I am. I am happy. I am certain. I am capable. Breathe that in. And just when you're doing those 3 breaths, just consistently be in the breath. If a thought comes, say thank you very much. I'll come back to you when I'm finished with my breath. Imagine it on a little soft cloud floating by. The other thing that I do is I do this throughout the day. The reason why I do that is it brings me back into the I am presence. And let's say you had the intention of living a happy, joyful life, which we all do, and then let's say someone triggers you. What you do is you excuse yourself. Maybe you go to the bathroom. You give yourself a moment of silence to do those 3 circular breaths. Because what we're doing is we're bringing our center back into our I am presence, which is our divine presence. So then you can see that someone triggered you, whether it was their stuff or if it's something that you want to work on. And when you excuse yourself from it, you're giving yourself that time, that place to observe so that you can use discernment. So that rather than reacting, you get to choose, you get to respond. So again, it doesn't take long, does it? So give yourself these moments of silence, going into the 3 circular breaths, 3 or 4 times during the day. First of all, when you wake up, setting the intention. During the day, 2-3 times, if you get triggered. And then in the evening, before you go to sleep. Just do those 3 circular breaths. And if you wake up in the night, it's wonderful to do then too. When you do it at night, you can set the intention a little differently than the morning. So for example, when I'm in the sleep space, it could be I am peaceful. I am in harmony. I am relaxed. So that could be a different vibration than in the morning. I am certain, I am calm, I am centered, right? You feel the different energy frequencies? Everything has an energetic frequency. So what you want to start doing as you're becoming intuitive and paying attention to your intuition, you start paying attention to the vibrational frequencies that you're vibrating to. And so that you can become masterful, so that you can live in peace, in harmony, and joy. Beautiful. So take a nice deep cleansing breath, giving gratitude to yourself for being here in this now moment. And know that you are being guided from your higher self, from the angelics, from the heavenly realm, and for all of the guides that are with you, directing you, offering you this clear, concise guidance for your highest good. Thank you. Blessings.